Now then, we're on with tractor repairs. This old little 275 International, and I did a video on a cold start a few years ago. It was being increasingly difficult. So I went through the normal things, filters, yeah, and I thought the lift pump wasn't that good, which is run off the cam and it's the other side of the engine, so that moves the fuel from the tank over into the injection pump, which is, you can't see, it's down there. Anyway, so I did that, and no. So I thought, I've had this tractor a long time, so I sent the injectors off to be serviced, reset, cleaned. And as it happens, it was a clean that was more, they put all the pintle valves and everything like that, the nozzles, into an industrial, what's that called, sonic cleaner. Anyway, they phoned me up and said they're done, yeah, just want a clean and reset, which is great. Yeah, so they're not a company that goes, oh, we'll just charge them for new nozzles even if we haven't actually done it. Yeah, so that's great. So anyway, I received them back, and it's a small company that does this, so if you're interested, I'll put the details probably in the description. Yeah, I mean, I've had a good deal, that's all you could say really. Nicely refurbished with all the new copper washers and whatnot, and I put 3 in, and I just thought, hang on, I better just do a video on this. And luckily I've saved the easiest one to the last, because some of them are a little bit tricky to get to. So let's just sort of fire in there and see how the video goes. Right, so to be able to get to this injector, all I did was just loosen off this filter assembly. I didn't want to undo all that lot if I could help it, and I didn't have to. Yeah, so the next thing to do is you've got to look down this hole here and clean it all out. Now I'm going to have to grab hold of the camera at some point to let you see, but there's a build-up of crud and you can see the original seating. So let's just move the camera yet again and see if we can get a shot of this. There, you can see down there, you can see the original sealing area, but round the outside there's a huge bunch of crud, and then down in the middle of that sealing area there's a recess, and that's the antechamber. So these are not direct injection, they inject into that little chamber first. Yeah, but as you can see there on the left, there's quite a build-up of crud in this recess, housing, whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to scrape that out, but I don't want to use a hard screwdriver on that sealing area, because that's where the injector seals, and there's a copper washer that goes against that. So first of all, you've got to make sure the old copper washer is out of there, and then clean all this lot off, and then blow it all out with an airline. So right, okay, let's get crack on with that. Can we see there? We sort of can, can't we? Okay, so got a bit of wood here. So just loosen the stuff up, but round the outside, here's the injector, so round the outside of this, which is in that recess, there's a build-up of crud in that recess, so I think I have to get something a bit stiffer than that, a bit harder than that piece of wood. So I'm going to get a small screwdriver, but I do need to be very careful of the sealing area. So where's the screwdriver gone? So just, I don't want muck to fall down there. See, I don't want that muck to fall down in there when I'm putting the rebuilt injector in there. But I'm being very careful not to damage the sealing ring. These injectors haven't been out for decades, so there's bound to be a lot of muck. Let me have a look. Well, that's looking a bit better. There's still a bit of muck down there. You can almost see the shape of that hexagon. Because I mean, we used to use this tractor for haymaking, and I used to run a B45 or some, I can't remember. Anyway, it was a little international baler, and it really did work really well with this tractor. And then I had a little Massey drum mower, you know, and everybody goes, oh, you need a big tractor to run a drum mower. Well, you don't. Yeah, it needs to be big enough, but this little 275 would run that drum mower no bother. You just couldn't go at 100 miles an hour. Now that's looking a bit better. And then I picked up a rotary tedder from the scrapyard, and that was great. Yeah, just to lift the rows of hay up and fluff them up, but making hay's a stressful time, and there was a point where I just didn't want to do it anymore. You know, you're at the whim of weather and old machinery and all sorts of things. You know, and when you're younger, you've got the time, you've got the energy, and you need the cash. Well, you get a bit older and more established, and you've got plenty of things to do anyway. Really got to have that nice and clean. We're getting there. Yeah, that's looking good. It's amazing. I mean, this tractor's what, 70 years old, something like that. You can still get stuff repaired, and you know, compared to modern stuff, I'd say this was really what you would call industrial. Designed to last, not designed to pack up at the slightest bit of hassle. Apparently a lot of the new common rail injectors, you're into sort of £250 or £300 each, and not many people will service them anymore because they're such a pain in the neck and they're relatively fragile. There's a bit there. A lot of this muck has really caked on, baked on. That's better. I think that will be fine. Right. I don't know how much of that you saw and how much my elbow was in the way, but so here we go. Now, just there's a little needle sticking out. I think it's called a pintle. Yeah, you've got to be real careful of that. Yeah, and there's the new sealing washer. So we'll drop that down in the hole. And level it out. Okay, and then the injector. Now here's the pipe. Should we just zoom in a bit? There's the pipe. Okay, and we're just going to gently put this down in there, and it seats on that copper. Yeah, now before you do anything else, thread that nut on there. Yeah, because there's no point tightening this down and then wanting to fit that on there. It just won't work. Now there should be two washers somewhere. I'll just go and find them. Right, here they are. Fairly heavy duty washers, cleaned up. Yeah. Okay, and then we've got the nuts that are cleaned up, and these are 9/16, or that's the spanner size, I believe. There we go. Wind both of them down. Don't tighten one up first. Wind it. That's tightening up. If you're reusing those copper washers, you have to anneal them. You've got to heat them up to cherry red and then dump them in cold water, because they'll have got hard. But luckily I was supplied with some new ones, but I will keep the old ones. There we go. Now, where's the spanner? This is 3/4, so I don't want to tighten these all the way up, because I want to wind it over the engine over and make sure that there's diesel coming out of those. Right, these are the returns. I've done the other three, and John has put a plastic plug in the top here with two little copper washers, annealed copper washers. So that goes there, and that goes underneath, and then that goes on there, and then we can tighten those down think it's 7/16. Seems like it. So we'll just tighten those down so we're not squirting diesel. There we go. Don't need to be too tight because it's quite a fine thread. And that's all 4 of them done. So we've got the injectors in, and I've just got to bolt this back on, and then I think I'm going to give it a go. Big tidy up of bits and pieces, make sure everything's sorted out. Okay, just get those in there. A little bit fiddly. Right, we need a socket. Yeah, I just fiddle with this. Right, I've got that one to line up. Because it's got 1, 2, 3, 4 hard lines going to it, it was a bit tricky. Yeah. But once one's there, then the other one's in line. Brilliant. So theoretically, all these injector lines should still have diesel in them, because I haven't disturbed anything. But the injectors probably won't, well, there'll be some air somewhere in that system there. So the main thing is to get rid of that torch. Put an exhaust on there. Wind the camera out. Okay, now I don't expect this to start straight away, but let's just see what happens. We've got all the tools out the way. Certainly looks like it. Give it nearly full throttle and a bit of heat. Put the stop in. Right. Wait for this little coil to heat up. You've got to bear in mind it's an old engine. And when you'll be 70, you won't want to sort of suddenly wake up and go herring around. Right. You could see that diesel coming out of there. That's a tricky one to get to, this one here. Right. Well, when it was winding over, it was an even wind, if you know what I mean. There wasn't a or anything like that. So I think our what compression we've got on this engine is all right. So hopefully it will start injecting fuel in a moment. let the heater plugs heat up a bit more. We were getting smoke out the exhaust. Right, a bit more heat. Hopefully those injectors now have got fuel in them. Now, you know, some of these videos of will it start, you can hear people winding the starter over and over and over. Yeah, and you think, good Lord. But this starter is not even warm yet. Right, it's trying. I might have to get the hot air gun out. A bit of hot air sometimes helps down the air inlet. Now I can hear the starter slowing up, so I'm going to, rather than hammering the battery, I'm going to put the charger on the battery for a short while. But anyway, that's the injectors in there. I think now the injectors are starting to inject diesel because we're getting fairly good smoke and it's starting to cough. But I don't want to wind over on a battery and deep discharge the battery. The starter, it's not cold, but it's not even warm really, so I think the starter's well man enough. Anyway, I'm going to leave it to you there. There we go. So as you can hear, it's ticking over nicely. I boosted the battery for about an hour and a half, and of course it wound over a lot quicker and away it went. No point just sort of grinding on a battery. Anyway, there you saw that we just revved it up and it's revving quite clean, ticking over nicely. Yeah, what's not to like about that? It's an old engine. Yeah, it's bound to be worn, and I don't use it that much, maybe 40 hours a year, something like that. I keep clean oil in it, so refurbished injectors. Yeah, and if I've done anything that you think, whoa, that's a bit dodgy, or you got any viewpoints or discussion and what have you, comments, let's hear about it, and we'll all learn from it. It's not often that I get to do this. I think I've done this, haven't done this once on this. I did injectors on the BMC 1800 quite a long time ago, and a Land Rover. They're easy enough. Anyway, catch up with you soon. Cheers for now.